All right, we are back here on the 2024 Dixon County Election Podcast. I'm Justin Spurlock. This is episode 2. We actually filmed the first episode of the season, I guess you could say. We're back in election season yesterday with Linda Hayes. She is running for mayor of White Bluff. There are also 2 other candidates that are running, and we are scheduled to interview both of them. We've got a second one here today. We've got Miss Stephanie Murrell. Stephanie, how are you today?
I'm good, thanks.
You want to grab that microphone right there?
Yes. Okay.
It's great to have you here. I appreciate you doing this. I know that running for office is tough, and you get a lot of obligations, and people want to talk to you all the time, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today here on the Election Podcast. If you don't mind, let's go ahead and start. I'll go ahead and give you the first question here. Okay. Will you tell us a little bit about your early life, your background, kind of where you grew up, and then just kind of from there, and I may ask a few follow-up questions, but if you want to just kind of start with giving the folks a little bit of background information on you.
Okay, well, thank you for having me today. So I'm Stephanie Murrell, and I'm a longtime resident of White Bluff. My family has been in White Bluff since actually back around the pre-Civil War era. So I'm 6th generation and was, raised here in Dixon County, went to school here in White Bluff. When I was growing up, I was active in band, so that was a big part of my childhood growing up. I went on to college at MTSU and got a degree there in interior design. So I was in the design industry for about 20 years before I switched over to teaching. And I was very fortunate that Springfield High School gave me my first teaching job as a public high school teacher, so I've always been very excited to be there. I teach STEM, work with robotics, and just very grateful they gave me my first teaching opportunity there.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher as well. We kind of talked about this before, but if you don't mind, we'll talk just a little bit about teaching for just a second. Mm-hmm. But what made you want to be a teacher? I'm just kind of curious because it's usually a question I like to ask teachers because it is a position where you're not going to get rich. It's kind of something you do from the heart. So just kind of curious, what made you want to be a teacher?
Yeah. So while I was still working in the design industry, I actually started teaching some courses at a private design school and found out that I really enjoyed working with the students and just could kind of see that more meaningful side of the industry. So as things change, sometimes you're in a job for a while and you feel like you're ready for a change. I decided to go into teaching full time, and while I was still at the design school, they had told us about how you can be a career technical education teacher by using your experience from the private sector. And so I was able to explore some of those opportunities. I went back to school to TSU, got my master's there in curriculum and instruction, and again, ended up going to Springfield High School, working in their career technical education program.
And the subject that you teach is very unique. I teach history, which is kind of a basic core class, but the class that you teach is pretty unique. Do you enjoy that? Do the students love it?
I do, yes. So one of the big draws for me to start teaching engineering, actually, in STEM, is that we did a lot of drafting, of course, with design. And in the engineering program of study, they learn basics of drafting. We actually participate with Inventor, the drafting program, so they learn how to do part modeling, assembly drawings, things like that would be used in manufacturing. And so that was the hook that led me into teaching STEM.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I enjoy teaching history. I love it. I got some good friends here in White Bluff who we just talk history all the time.
Yes.
But I do think it would be fun someday to maybe teach something a little more futuristic. I don't know if that's the word for it, but that sounds very interesting.
Yeah. We're heavy in technology too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good for the kids.
Yes.
So you go to MTSU and then you go down this one career and then you end up in another career and you go back to college and get your master's and so you're teaching and then politics kind of comes into life, I guess. It's happened to me as well, but Talk to me a little bit about the reason why you decided to run. Was there like a moment? Was there something that happened? Was there an event? Maybe it's something you've always wanted to do, and now is just the right time. But just kind of curious about what made you want to throw your hat in the ring and possibly become the mayor of White Bluff.
Well, thank you for asking that. So, about 12 years ago, I decided that I wanted to be more involved with the town council and, the leadership or how some of the things were being ran in White Bluff. And so I decided to run for council and was very blessed to win. So, I've served on the council for 12 years now and gotten a lot of experience with local government policies and just how things operate. So this year I decided that instead of running for re-election for the council, that it was time to run for mayor and maybe see some of the policies that I would like to see implemented that we have not gotten to in the past several years.
Tell me a little bit about the dynamic between the mayor and the council. And when I interviewed Ms. Hayes, I sort of asked this question as well, because I think it's cool to sometimes give the people who are watching kind of an insight into kind of how that works. Because I teach government classes at the high school sometimes. Right now I'm not, but I have before in the past. And typically, I think students and people who maybe aren't in the know as much think that the mayor does everything, waves a magic wand, but the council is actually very involved, and there's sort of a dynamic between how they all work together. Would you mind maybe just speaking on that just a little bit, since you have the experience? Yes.
So I would say that I feel we've always worked well together in the past. I've worked with several different council members over the past 12 years, and like you said, some people think that you can just wave a magic wand and everything's done as mayor. I realize it's not like that. It's actually your town council that has the responsibility for voting on issues. So I always try to stress to residents that if you have a concern about something, to reach out to your council members. Now, in White Bluff, we do not have wards or, special districts that the council members represent, so it's important that you reach out to all of us rather than just one or two. But as far as being mayor, the mayor does set the agenda, obviously has authority over purchasing contracts and things like that, and then just the general, I guess, kind of HR responsibilities. But I think that we have worked well together in the past, and I'm looking forward that if I am elected mayor, I'm looking forward to working with the new council members too.
So you decided to run.
Yes.
You made that decision, and this may even go back to when you decided to run for council, really.
Yes.
But what do you think makes you the right person for this job? And what I mean by that is there certain characteristics that you have, maybe a certain personality, or even experiences in the past that would make you the right person for this job? But I imagine when you sat down and you decided to do it, you did probably think that there was something about you that you thought would be beneficial to offer up to the town.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about what would make you a good mayor.
Thank you. So aside from just my general being passionate about White Bluff, all things White Bluff, I think that my time that I spent in the design industry, I also did a lot of project management, and I think that those skills help with leadership and would be beneficial to the position of mayor. And then again, the experience that I've had working on the council, just learning how things work in government, because government, while a lot of people want to think that in terms of budgets, that it's just like your budget at home, it's not exactly the same, because governmental accounting and budgets are a little bit different. And so I've had, several years experience learning how we have to go through that process, and if there are things that have to be changed, like sometimes we have to have our charter revised or amended, and just knowing how those policies work and the steps that we need to take, I think that's very beneficial.
So this next question is kind of a two-sided, and I'll let you approach it however you want. Usually, when I talk to incumbents, I ask them, "Hey, what are some of the accomplishments that you're proud of?" And with you being on the council, I think there are some things that you could, speak as far as that goes. The other side of this that I usually ask is to people who are running. I usually ask them, what would be something that you would do different, maybe than not necessarily the person that's in there now, but just as a mayor in general. What are some new, different ideas that maybe you would bring to the table that maybe somebody who's the mayor of another town, small town in Tennessee, maybe doesn't do? So again, I'll let you kind of answer that either way, either some accomplishments or something that you would do different. I'll let you go on that one.
Okay. So, I've always been supportive of our public works projects that we've had going on here in White Bluff, like the Bibb Center, for instance, where we're at today. This has just been a real gem for us and just a positive thing for us to have here in White Bluff. So I've always been supportive of those things. I've always tried to be a council member that residents can reach out to and express their opinions without any kind of judgment or pushback on those opinions. I've always tried to be very approachable in that aspect. And, sometimes I get the reputation of being the no vote. But that's part of what comes along with politics, because it's not just being the one that's always there to say no. It's standing up for the citizens who have contacted you and said, look, we don't want this for our town. We don't feel like this is a good fit. And it's, in a way, it's standing in solidarity with them and saying, no, we don't think that this is right for White Bluff.
So my next question is a little bit more about the future and less about the past. First off, if you are able to win, is this, will you continue to teach? That's one question that I want to ask, because that's one question that they ask me a lot. And,
right.
I kind of, I'm sure you've thought about that. And then kind of go into what your vision for White Bluff would be. I mean, I remember when, White Bluff was a little bitty town, and we actually played Little League Baseball over where the City Hall is now. Yeah, I'm sure you remember that. And, we always had the community center, but that new playground came in, and then the City Hall, the Bibb Center. Like, there's been so many great things that have come to White Bluff. But at the same time, you want White Bluff to keep its, small town feel. So talk to me a little bit about the future. If you are able to win, what is your vision for White Bluff? How would you handle being the mayor?
Yes. So I would like to see White Bluff be more than just a stereotypical bedroom community. I think that we have a strategic location between Montgomery Bell State Park and then the Harpeth River or the Harpeth State Park. I would like to see us focus a little bit more on tourism and drawing people to the town. We've had great partnerships in the past with Montgomery Bell State Park, and I think that we should continue to draw on those. But yeah, that's something that I definitely think we should focus on. And then some of the other goals, just infrastructure projects. It's been a concern for a lot of citizens in the past in terms of fire safety, having fire coverage that is south of Highway 70, which our firefighters, Chief Deal, they do a great job. But as you know, White Bluff is kind of divided in half by the railroad. And so sometimes there's concern that, hey, what if a train breaks down? What if we're cut off? And so it is one of my goals that if I am elected mayor, that we pursue having a satellite location for the fire department south of Highway 70.
That would be excellent. And fire, that's something that a lot of people don't really talk about. But I live out in the county, and so we've had a lot of discussions about that. Who covers the fire?
Right.
And so it is a big concern. And I'm glad you brought that up about the train, because I haven't really ever thought about that. But it definitely is a big concern, because there's not a tunnel like in downtown Dixon, for example. If the train were to stop, you could go around and go under that one-way tunnel.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not something I'd ever considered. So that's an interesting thing that I hadn't thought of.
Yes, we actually, it was briefly yesterday, but I think there was another train stopped across the railroad tracks. And here in White Bluff, typically what happens is if the train is blocking White Bluff Road, it's usually also blocking the Main Street crossing at the Industrial Drive. So it is a concern for a lot of folks.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's pretty much. I have like 6 or 7 questions that I generally ask, and I think you've answered all of those. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about, though, that maybe we haven't hit on yet? Anything central to your campaign? Any message that you want to send out to the people while you've got the opportunity here? Is there anything we haven't covered yet?
Okay. So I know a lot of people are concerned about growth because, as with all of Middle Tennessee, White Bluff has experienced a boom lately in residential growth, and it is a concern for a lot of us. I know that we are going to grow because of where we're located, our proximity to Nashville. So we do expect that to happen, but I think we need to do it in a responsible and sustainable method. Our infrastructure, some of it is aging and needs to be updated, not just our streets, but our actual water lines and fire hydrants. A lot of those are not sized to where they can be replaced to the modern day requirements. So I think it's important that as we're growing, that we're keeping our infrastructure in mind and that we're growing in a manner that is compatible with the infrastructure we have in place.
So talk to me a little bit about Main Street Festival,
Yes,
if you don't mind, on the way
sure.
out here, because so we're recording this on Friday, and I believe I'll try to get it posted tomorrow so that people can hear about this before, because I really want your take on the Main Street Festival, because I think it's something that's really really great. The festivals that White Bluff does, you've got a big 4th of July thing, you've got the Fall Festival. Or Main Street Festival, I'm not sure what we call it, but it's always a fall festival, right?
Yes.
And then, then the Electric Christmas Parade, which is always amazing, and it's been around for a while, probably maybe the oldest of the 3, I'm not sure. But I think it's really great, these events that small towns are having, especially White Bluff. What's your take on it? I mean, it's obviously a great thing for the community, and it's coming up. I guess we can kind of plug it a little bit.
Absolutely. I'm very excited. Tomorrow is the Main Street Festival here in White Bluff. It is always the second Saturday in October, so people can kind of plan ahead for that. I forget which year this is now in terms of the number of years that it's been held, but it just seems to keep getting better and better.
I think it's around 20.
Okay,
That's what somebody said the other day.
Okay.
Somewhere around there, and
yes.
Sounds probably right to me.
So a lot of people look forward to it. We've got a lot of great vendors coming tomorrow. I will have a booth there. I know the other candidates will have booths as well, so people can come out, meet with us, get a chance to speak to us in person, and enjoy great food and great fellowship.
It will be a lot of fun, and it always is. And so I hope
and the weather's supposed to be great tomorrow too.
Yes. And you never know, because with the hurricanes coming through, I thought there might be some rain, but I think we're gonna luck up and get some good weather.
Yes. I hope
So the last thing I want to ask you here is, the interview that we do is pretty general. I usually just ask some basic questions, and it just really gives the people a chance to kind of see who you are and get to know you a little bit. But there may be somebody out there who, and they usually do this, is, Justin, you should ask this question, or you should have asked this question. If they wanted to maybe follow up and ask you some more specific things, how would folks, voters, be able to get a hold of you prior to the election?
Sure, absolutely. So I do have a Google Voice phone number that anyone can reach me at. It's 615-797-8164. And then I also have a Facebook page. It's Murrell for Mayor. And so you can search that on Facebook. We do have a website set up. It's stephaniemurrell.com. And then you can also reach me by email at murrellformayor@stephaniemurrell.com. So phone, email, Main Street Festival tomorrow.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes.
Hey, listen, I appreciate you doing this.
Thank you.
It's something now that we've done. This is the 3rd year. And we've done, I think, close to 40 episodes. I think that I counted back because I keep a little file of all of the interviews that we've done in the past. And I just want people to know that it's really just a community service that we're doing. Nobody's getting paid or anything here. We're just trying to, give the candidates an opportunity to get the message out to the people. So I really appreciate you doing this. We've had Miss Linda on, we've had Miss Stephanie on, Mr. Trey Thomas will be on next, and that'll be episode 3. And then I've talked to a few folks folks from Burns who are interested in being on. And I do want to mention one more thing on the way out here. I need to tell you this too. Matter of fact, we are actually going to have some election night coverage.
Okay.
This is breaking news, by the way. Breaking news. I just found out myself, but we are actually. I'm a Burns boy. I live in Burns, grew up in Burns, and talking with Rusty Grove, who's running for mayor of Burns. He's running uncontested. So I guess Rusty's probably going to win since nobody's running against him, right? And so he and I were talking the other day about maybe doing something on election night. And so we're going to set up in Burns. We have a new business that's opening right there. It's a pizza shop.
Okay.
And so we've talked to the owners, and we're planning, unless something changes, we're planning on setting up there on election night and giving the results and things. So I wanted to let the people know, who listen to the podcast, that we will be live on whatever channel you're watching this on, whether it be YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or whatnot. We will be going live on election night to give out some of the results, and you're welcome to stop by if you'd like and talk to us. We want to make sure that we invite all the different candidates, not just from Burns, but all over Dixon County.
Yes.
Me and Rusty just decided we want to do it closer to our house.
Right.
So
Can't blame you.
so that way when we get done, we got the shortest drive home. So we're gonna do that, and I know he's gonna be there, and then we'll see who else decides to come. But I wanted to make sure that you were invited, and also for the folks out there to know that if you want to stop by and hang out with us, you're more than welcome. If you want to pull it up on Facebook or YouTube, that's an option as well. But just excited about election season, and excited about doing these interviews. And if there's anybody else that you guys want me to interview, send me a name, send me a phone number, or have them contact me. Anybody who's running for office in Dixon County, I will be glad to interview. I'd rather keep it just to Dixon County so I don't have to drive too far. But I would like to interview anybody who's interested. So, again, Miss Murrell, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Good luck to you and in the election. And like I said, Mr. Trey Thomas will be on next. So make sure that you stay tuned for episode 3, and then we will continue on. Appreciate everybody watching, and we'll see you next time.